Hey guys, welcome back to Made for More.
It's so funny how we still do that.
Hey, we have to.
Well, it's been a fat minute.
It's
She
been
got
like
sick.
3 weeks.
Like remember how we were saying like Cadence was sick? I got sick.
She got sick.
Not from her though. It was just
Yeah,
like I just had a cold, but like I lost my voice and I had a cough. I didn't want y'all hearing that. But now we're back.
Yeah, and then just a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, it's been.
But we're back.
Exactly.
We're done with school.
Heck yeah. Well, tomorrow's my last day.
I'm done with school.
And then I'm done. Okay. Anyways,
guys.
Been a minute, but we're back. And
we're ready.
Merry Christmas. It's going to be Christmas time. It is Christmas
time. If you can't tell, it's that time of year.
My tree. And obviously it's not Christmas Day yet, but we want to wish you a happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. And if you can just guess what we're going to talk about. I don't know.
That's a pretty cool tree right there.
We're going to talk about Christmas! And literally everything that comes with it. Like the joy of it, the hurt, the sadness, like
just the weights, the different things that come along with it.
What's crazy is I was telling Cadence, I was at youth the other day, a week ago. Yeah. And I had a vision of a weight. And I was like, that's really like interesting. Like I don't know why the Lord would like show me a weight. But then the more and more I was like thinking about it, like a lot of people carry a lot of weights during the Christmas season. Like they're just holding so much that they just feel like they can't even get up in the morning and stuff like that. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, we're excited for this one. I think this is one that both of us can relate to. And a lot of what we talk about, like, we like to talk about things we have experience with.
Yeah.
Just because, like, we feel that God allows us to use that to reach you guys. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to use what we've been through. So we're really excited about this one.
And obviously we're going to start out with the story of Jesus and like the real reason we celebrate Christmas. Like it's not Santa. And y'all know that. Like obviously like we But if you go to your Bible and it's in the Gospels in Matthew chapters 1 and 2, it kind of just gives you like the story of Jesus and how he was born. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm kind of going to like summarize it in a little bit and read a few verses. But basically, an angel came to Mary and was like, you're going to be pregnant and you're going to have a baby and he's going to be the Messiah. And Mary's like, what? I'm a virgin. Like, in a way. And then he was like, just like, don't be afraid, which I think is such a good like thing to notice.
Don't be afraid.
And then my girl Mary goes and tells Joseph. Joseph was like, well, so Joseph breaks off the engagement. It was like, like this ain't gonna work. And so then, but the angel came to Joseph and was like, Joseph, like, no, like she's actually legit. Like this is the angel, this is the Gen Z version. The angel did come to Mary and like, she's gonna have a baby and you're gonna name him Jesus. Like crazy, okay?
Yep.
And then basically they take this little trip to Bethlehem and Judea, and the baby was born, and they're gonna call him Emmanuel, which is like God with us. Like that's his other kind of like name. But then like further down, it talks about like the wise men, and we all know like in our little, what are those called? You put them in your room with like the glass. Nativity. Like those nativity scenes, you know, where like you have the wise men and then you have like Jesus. These wise men saw this star rise up and they're like, oh my goodness, like something like that's where the Messiah is. Like we need to go worship him. I'm gonna go follow that star. But then King Herod, you know, was like, what the heck? And told his wise men, like, we gotta meet up and we gotta go find this Messiah so I could worship him. Like basically
psych. Psych.
But so basically they follow this star, this really bright star, and they follow it and they find the Messiah and they get there and they worship him and they bow down, they give him gifts, and all in this little barn. And bam, Jesus was born.
Bam.
But that's just a little like
a little in a nutshell. And I think it's really important to understand too, though, like we've heard this story like in so many different contexts, and I think a lot of times it's really painted as this beautiful night, blah, blah, this night, which obviously, the birth of Jesus, obviously, it's beautiful. But it wasn't in a beautiful environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and, but there was, like, they were in this barn. Mind you, animals use the barn to go potty. Like, so it was stinky, it was dirty, it was cold, like, and she's having to give birth in a barn.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would choose to give birth in a barn.
Yeah.
And then, too, like, King Harold put out this thing of, like, because he didn't want a king higher than him. And so he put out a thing saying, like, all babies, all baby boys under 2, gone, kill them. And so, like, they had to flee from Bethlehem, like, and it's like from the moment he was born, he was dealing with
Yeah.
those trials and
Right.
tribulations, like, and he was already trying to, like, they were already trying to persecute him
Yeah.
from the very beginning, and I think it's really important to understand that.
Yeah, and even just like I think it's so important every year, like not just even during the Christmas time, to just go
Mhm.
back and read like this story
Yep.
because it's so important to know like that Jesus, like God sent his son.
Yep.
Like Jesus could have stayed up in heaven. Like he did not have to come down, but like God was like, no, like my people need this. He chose to come down as a baby. He had to start fresh and he had to go through the same things that we go through.
Yep.
So that in order we could be free. So like if Jesus didn't come as a baby, like we'd be going to hell, like
Yeah.
straight up, like because if Jesus didn't come, he wouldn't have died on the cross. And I think it's so important to understand that like there is so much importance with this season. Like
Mhm.
it literally says there, like Emmanuel, like God with us, like he sent his son so that God can be with us as a human
Yeah.
form.
Yeah, and then it says, if you turn to your Bibles, in Romans 5:8, it says, "But God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we
Mhm.
were still sinners."
Yeah.
And I think this goes so well with what we're talking about, like, because this is about the birth of, like, Jesus, like,
Mhm.
and all of this was thought out before he came.
Yeah.
And he said, while we were still sinners,
Yeah.
like, before God sent Jesus, his one and only son, he knew what we would do. He knew the people we would be. He knew the sins we would commit, but he still chose to send his son. In doing that just shows the love that God has for us.
For sure. And I also think like the more and more I read this story, like you're always going to get something new out of it.
Mhm.
Like I think so many people think of this story like, yeah, like I know this story, but it's like no, like the more and more you read it, the more it like really honestly like should touch your
Mhm.
heart. And I was even thinking about the star, like how important that star is. Like I'm not saying that like, oh, don't worship stars. No. Like that's not how it should be, but they looked up to the star because they knew that
Mhm.
that was going to lead them to the Lord. Like they knew that
Yeah.
was going to lead them to Jesus. And I think even for me it speaks to my life, like knowing that like I need to be looking up to Jesus for guidance. Like wherever that star, like wherever Jesus is, I want to be, so I'm going to follow that star. And I just think it's really important to notice the little details in the story because they're so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna kind of talk about like now we know the backstory
Mhm.
of like the Christmas season. It's not about Santa Claus, it's about Jesus. And now we kind of want to talk about the more like sensitive parts of the holidays, like
Yeah.
just the things that people deal with.
Yeah, because I think the holidays, they're very much painted in, like, oh, cheer, joy, let's sing Christmas songs. But there's so much that a lot of people go through in
Yeah.
this season that it's just really painful. There's a lot of weights that are carried,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's talked about enough.
I think a lot of times during this season, a lot of people tend to not only like forget about the reason, but also focus so much on their pain and that they
Yeah.
tend to just like I was saying earlier, feel a weight.
Mhm.
And then they tend to don't talk to people about it. Like we have
Mhm.
so many things that we have written down that people struggle with, including us. Like
Including us. Like, this isn't things we're like, oh, these people struggle
yeah,
with this. It's stuff that we've dealt with and even may still be dealing with, but we just want to speak some light on it.
yeah. And before we talk about those topics, I want to like preface that like these things we're going to talk about, like isolation, your past, like stuff like that. Jesus came to this earth for that very reason. Like he was born so that you don't have to fixate on the storm, but rather you can fixate on the one whose hand is trying to grab you out of it. Like all these things, that the hurt and the pain that people struggle with, I think they forget to look up, look at that star, like knowing Jesus is already there. Like he lived on this earth so that when you're going through this hurt, that you could just remember, oh wait, no, he already paid the price for that.
Yeah, and to the whole point of us talking about this is not to give power to it, but it's to acknowledge it and bring light to it. Because, like, yes, these are things we deal with, but that doesn't mean we sit in them. Like, it means, like, we give these things to God and choose to find joy, like, and find healing in it. And that's what we're really just hoping for from this.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to just mention a few of them.
Like we said before, like one of the big things during this season that people struggle with is isolation. And I think it's really easy to isolate yourself in this season because school's out, you're on break, some people are off of work, youth is over, young adults is over, and a lot of stuff doesn't start back until like the new year. And so it's really easy, like, to be by yourself and kind of just not want to talk to people and lock yourself in your room. And I just really want to point out, like, this is a time where instead of isolating yourself, you should really pour into your relationship with God. Because as easy as it is to isolate yourself, you can easily pour into your relationship with God, because you're not having these distractions of school, you're not having these distractions of work, you're not having like these different distractions, but instead you have this extra time that you can spend with God. And instead of focusing on the things that you're hurting in, you can give them to God and deepen that relationship.
Yeah, and I think specifically with isolation, when you isolate yourself with the wrong mindset and your mindset's already fixated on the mental struggle or something that you're going through, isolation is not going to make it better. I think a lot of people think that, oh, like my pain, like I can't share that because it's going to affect people. Like I'm just too far gone, so I'm going to isolate myself and push away other people so that I don't feel like a burden. And I think a lot of people isolate themselves because they feel like a burden. But when you do that, it only just makes you feel worse about yourself when you think that it's going to make you feel better. And that's why it's so, so important to be in community. And not only that, but to run to the Lord. Like, especially during this Christmas time, like, we have to remember, like, our Messiah, like, he's our Messiah. Like, he's the one who is always with us. He's Emmanuel. Like, he's a God who sees us in our brokenness and wants to make you whole. But he can't make you whole if you're isolating yourself from the very promise that God says, like, he's going to make you whole. Like, if you're wanting to be fixed, you can't isolate yourself. And I think it's important to hold your friends accountable with that too. Like, if you have people in your life who are pushing and pushing and pushing away, like, be that person, be that bigger person. It's like, no, like, Jesus is always there for you, like, but let me be there for you too. Like, I want to pray with you. I want to be that person in your life.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think too, like, we have a tendency of when we're dealing with things, I know I've done it, and it's something I still struggle with. She's smiling at me because she knows. And like, we have a tendency to push away the people that God placed in our life to lean on. God calls us to lean on these people. He wouldn't place these certain people in our lives if they weren't for a purpose, if he didn't have a plan with these kinds of friendships. And he places godly friendships. He places certain people in our lives so we can lean on them in moments like this, because yes, 100% we lean on God first. He is our strength. But also he's going to place people that he uses as his own vessels to pour out his love upon, just because sometimes we need that hug, like, and sometimes we need just that community, but we can't get that community if we're pushing people away. And that really just goes back to, like, you have to choose to, like, you want better for yourself, because it's choosing not to sit inside your pain, because it's really easy to sit in your pain and just dwell on it, and that's just when you're sinking deeper. But when you choose to be like, okay, I want better for myself, that's when you get growth, and that's when you can like lean on the people that God has placed in your life. And even if you're not somebody that's dealing with this, like you may have a friend that is dealing
Mhm.
with this. Be that person that is,
Yeah.
no matter how isolated the person makes themselves, like be like, God loves you, like I love you, like I'm here for you, and constantly just reminding them that they're not alone, because at that moment they are trying to be alone. And I think it's something me and July have dealt with,
Mhm.
like both of us to each other.
Mhm.
But like, and I'll speak for my behalf, like there's been moments where I was going through something no bueno. But like one thing that truly helped me was July constantly reaching
Mhm.
out and being like, hey, let's go to young adults. Hey, let's do this. Like,
Mhm.
let's do a Bible study or something like that. And that's something that helped, that stood in the gap between where I was falling short with my relationship with God and helped me come back to what I needed to be
Mhm. Same with her.
at.
It's so funny because like we're kind of like same personality but like different font.
Yeah.
Like Cadence will be like if I'm going through something, she's like, "You're coming." Like she's like she doesn't really like give me a choice. She's like, "No, like you're coming," and then she'll give me a face. She's like, "Like I know something's wrong," and like it's so important though to have friends like that
Yeah.
know you. Like I could read this girl like a book, and I'm sure she could read me like a book too. Like I know what face she makes when she feels off. I know the like her body language. Like and it's just so important because, like, if you see that with your friend and you see that they're going through something, but you're not choosing to be there for them, like, be there for them.
Yeah.
Like, they need it. Like, they need someone. And I think that kind of goes in to our next topic, which is, like, I think talking about family issues,
Yeah.
like, especially, like, losing family members, like, fathers. And even, like, I know I've talked to a lot of people right now, just, like, the weightiness of, like, not having your parents that, like
Hmm.
divorced parents and like losing a like parent
Yeah.
and people go home like for youth specifically so many kids have such a
Hmm.
bad home life and they
Yeah.
go home and they just are isolated in their own home life and they feel stuck.
Yeah. And I think one big part, because I think there's two different parts of this.
Yeah.
There's the displacement part and there's the grief
Yeah.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think these are two very different
Mm-hmm.
feelings. And there's the displacement of a family member choosing not to be a part of your life, or just not really being the person they should be towards you.
Yeah.
And then there's feeling the grief of like not having someone around.
Yeah.
But I think towards the displacement part of it, like it's really easy to focus on what we don't have instead of focusing on what we do have. And we
Mm-hmm.
have family in Christ. Like he God is our father. Like he
Yeah.
is that representation of what we need, and he is what we need. And I think it's just really important to remember he is our family. Like at the end of the day, like not everybody's going to go to heaven. Like
Yeah.
but we will be with him, like, and that's the person we're going to spend eternity with, like our father in heaven.
Yeah. And I was in AM it's our church has this thing called AMT for youth. And it's called Advanced Ministry Training.
Yeah.
And Austin, he's our youth pastor, he recently lost his father.
Mm-hmm.
But he said something that really stuck out to me and I think it's important to talk about it here. He said that like we were talking about things we're grateful for this season
Mm-hmm.
because like so many people just focus on the bad and they're not focusing
Yeah.
on like wait what did God actually do for you. And he said he was like I'm so thankful that when my father left that I wasn't left fatherless.
Yeah.
And I love that because he didn't just sit in his pain, but rather he remembered who his father is. Like the Lord has been someone in his life that is just held so close to him and like has been his guidance. Like when you
Yeah.
think of that like father or mother figure, like they're someone who guides you and that's what the
Mm-hmm.
Lord does.
Yeah.
He guides you and like when people like family members leave your life, that yes, I know it hurts, but also like the Lord is that person to you too, and He's going to be that
Yeah.
comfort for you, but you just have to go to Him.
Yeah, and I think too, one thing I'd really like to bring up is just like in the New Testament, Paul talks about like how we're called adopted.
Yeah.
Like in that term wasn't used the way it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was used how it was like with that culture then, and um, it's called Jericho Roman culture, I believe, and like it was normal just to like dispose of children, like no matter if there's something wrong of like with them or not, like they it was just like okay if you were like okay I don't want you, like goodbye. But like the word around adoption, it meant that like you're desired, and it meant that
Yeah.
you're specifically chosen, and that you can't be disowned or cut off. And in Romans 8 and Galatians 4 and even Ephesians 1, it talks about like how God, we're called adopted like by God, and it's so important to understand that God chooses us. God desires us. He desires a relationship with us, and he specifically chose us to be a part of his family.
Mm-hmm. And I think with even like the last two topics we've talked about, like the main reason we like deal with these things and isolate ourselves because of those issues is because we're not feeling peace and we're not finding
Yeah.
peace. And I know this is a verse that everybody has heard before, but it's Philippians 4 verses 6 through 7. And sorry, I had to make so this verse, Philippians 4, 6 through 7, it says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus." And I love the last part of this verse because it says his peace will guard your hearts and minds. Like when I think of God, like guards, I literally think of Jesus standing in front of my heart with like a sword, like saying like, no, like enemy, you can't come in. Like, and that's so important to pray that over your life, saying, Lord, would you guard my heart? Would you guard my mind? Because when you're not like focusing on God, you're not going to feel that peace. And you're just going to start feeling worry and doubt, which is from the enemy. And I just think it's so important to realize that like the reason we don't usually feel peace is because we're not going to the peacemaker. We're not going to the one who is going to give us that peace that you're never going to understand in the suffering. Like you would think in suffering, oh, why should I find peace or feel peace? But even for me, I can speak for me, like in the suffering, that's when I find peace the most. And just having God guard your heart, like God like guarding my heart, like whew, God is the God of the impossible, and I just think that's so amazing.
Yeah, and he's called the Prince of Peace for a reason. Like, and I think that's something that I hold on to so much. Like, he is the Prince of Peace. Like, we're not going to be able to find peace in anything else. And I think sometimes we try to create our own peace, but it's not true peace. Like, and it's also important to realize that like peace isn't always still. Like sometimes it can be loud, sometimes it's like in your face, but it's a peace that just holds you close, and it's truly just comfort from God.
Yeah. And I think we should start talking about just like suffering as like a whole. Like during the holiday season. Like I think it's just important to like not look past like suffering, but like knowing that there's joy in the end. Like, because I think a lot of people stay stuck in suffering, and they like it's like a cycle. Like, I think specifically about things in the past, like things come up, but it like terrorizes people so much that it allows them to stay stuck. Like when you think of quicksand, like when you stay still, you just start sinking down. Like, and okay, so in First Peter, it says, I think it's verse 5. No, verse 7 says, "Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you." And then further down, verse 10, it says, "So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you, and he will place you on a firm foundation." And I think it's just so important. Like it says, after you have suffered a little while. Like it doesn't just say like, oh, you're going to suffer forever. No, the Lord has a way of like turning suffering into joy. And he uses that for your testimony, but you have to make that choice to step out of our suffering and to know that the enemy doesn't have the final say. That what we're going through during the holidays, the grief that we feel, the enemy didn't have the final say when all those things happen. No, the Lord has it. And he's going to place you back on that firm foundation, and he's going to give you that peace, but we just have to remember that suffering is not the end. Jesus is.
And then in Psalms 56:8, it says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle, and you have recorded each one in your book." And I have another one And it's kind of similar to the one that July actually said earlier. I'm flipping there.
Oh my goodness.
Um, it says in John 16:22, so you have sorrow now, but I will see you again. Then you will rejoice, and no one can rob you of that joy.
Mm.
And this is like something that speaks so much to me, like in just a lot of what I've been through, like, and it's a huge part of my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've experienced pain, like, and like it says in this, you'll have sorrows. Just like July said, it's not that we're not going to go through like pain. We're not going to go through suffering. Like it says right here, we're going to, but it says also right after, then you will rejoice, then you will
Mm-hmm.
have joy, but nobody can rob you of that. And it also comes to also your perspective of it, because just like July said, like you can sit in it or you can choose
Yeah.
to allow God to have that. And even like in this season for me, like I've had to choose that. Like the the holidays are have kind of become a little bit rough for me, like, and like I've talked about it before, but like January 1st, like New Year's night, I lost my best friend to suicide. And throughout like this very season, like I saw him decline. And it's like his birthday, and then it's like the last day I saw him, and just different things like that. And I remember a lot of like the different memories of like the things that happened on Christmas and the things that happened the day before and just stuff like that. And the enemy has really tried to use that and be like, these are going to be your really sad days. And these are going to be the days that you're suffering. And these are going to be the days that I remind you of what you've been through. But I've had like through this very season, because this is something I'm dealing with right now, like through this season, I've really had to be like, okay, God, like, I can't deal with this grief on my own. I can't deal with this pain on my own, because if I do, I'm going to sit in my room and I'm going to just go dig myself in a hole. Like, and that's what happens to a lot of people. We sit here
Mm-hmm.
and we dig our holes and we're like, oh, I'm hurting. Oh, I'm suffering. Oh, I can't deal with this. Like, but instead, like, I've had to choose to be like, okay, God, I'm in pain. Like, I'm hurting, but I'm choosing to like give you this because I can't deal
Yeah.
with it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's not easy. It's very hard, but it's choosing to be like on these days looking at the good of it. And like in this it's saying like that I have a verse for this actually, and it's a really good verse. In Genesis 50:20, it says, you intend to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save lives of many people. And this is something I've had to change my perspective on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I very much looked at everything I had been through as like this horrible thing, which obviously, like, losing your best friend in the way that I did, like, it sucked. It was horrible. But at no point did God allow that to sit as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you have to allow God to have that. Like, and it's the enemy's going to try and use what you've been through. He's going to try and use the pain that you've experienced to keep you where you're at so you don't grow further in your relationship with God, and even put you further back from where you were. But God's going to use that. Like, you just have to give it to him and allow him to, because from the moment that I gave it to God, like every moment then, like I've been able to use what I've been through to share with people who are going through the same thing he was and going through the same kind of grief that I've been through. And it's truly just allowing God to do that, though, because you have to give up your pain, you have to give up your grief to him in order to grow from it.
Yeah, and I think the Lord has a really amazing way of stealing the pen and rewriting our
Yeah.
story. But again, we have to allow him to take that pen. And the other day, a group of our friends, we went to go watch the Polar Express, and it's just a funny little moment. But this little boy named Billy, he's sitting in the train isolated,
Yep.
and he's all depressed, and like he at first wasn't going to go on the train, but then he does, and he's sitting there, and some of the people, I don't even think they named their names. I don't remember their names, they go up to this little boy and they're like, well, why don't you come sit with us, stuff like that, come with us. And he's like, Christmas isn't for me. Like, it's just not for me. And he's just saying all these things like, no, it's never worked out for me. Like, all this stuff, like, just speaking not life into his life. And I like was thinking about that right now because his perspective was all focused on the storm. He was so focused on just the things that have already gone on in his life that he can't even notice the train that he's on, which is leading him to the very thing that he stopped believing in, which was Santa, but we're going to say it's Jesus. Like, he's on this train that's leading him. And think about like us, like we're on this path that's leading us to life, but yet we're so focused on the storm that's down here that we can't even like look up and be like, no, Jesus, like change my perspective. Because I think a lot of the times during the holidays, we like to just kind of just like we were talking about, sit in our sorrows and not really go out and do things with our friends because we just think it's not for us. Oh, this Jesus thing isn't for me. Oh, I've suffered so long, like God's not going to love me as I am. But like I've said earlier, like Jesus came to this earth for you. And when you really think about it, that the Lord, God sent his one and only son. He died on that cross. And in that moment when he died on that cross, he thought of you. That should immediately change your perspective in knowing that he has always been for you. It's just been us that has thought that like he hasn't been for us. So I think it's just flipping that switch and knowing the Lord is for me, but I have to know it for myself and I have to have that faith.
Yeah, and it really does all come down to perspective. Like, we can have a perspective of like, poor me, or we can have a perspective of, God, what do you have in store for me? Like, in God, what are you wanting to do in this season? Because like a season like this can be hard. Like, there's a lot of people who have lost people who are dealing with these very things that we're talking about, but instead we can use these areas and be like, okay, God, teach me, like, and grow me in this area so that it's no longer a super sore subject, but instead I'm able just to use it. Like, and I think that's something I'm learning, and it's something that can really just change our relationship with God, because once we're able to let go of the things that, like, because the enemy's going to use the things that hurt us the most. He's not going to choose something simple because it's not going to have effect. He's going to choose the things of our past. He's going to choose isolation. He's going to choose things like that to truly try and get us to go astray from God, but it's instead choosing God, and just like he chose us.
Yeah, and in Nehemiah 8:10 it says the joy of the Lord is our strength. And I just love that verse. It's so simple, but like basically what it's saying is like in the times where you're not supposed to feel joy, you're going to feel joy through the Lord. Like, yes, like there's some really hard times during the holidays, and not just the holidays, but like every single month, like people are constantly going through things. But like in that midst, even when you may not feel joy, like here in this like world, the Lord can come down into your heart and make you feel that joy that you've been missing. And it's so crazy. Like, I'm telling you, all you have to do is just say yes to the Lord, and you'll just watch what he does. Because there's going to be so many circumstances where you think that you should just be so depressed and have these anxious thoughts. But the Lord has such an amazing way of just saying, no, like, that's not what I have for you. But again, it just really comes back to perspective.
Yeah. And then it's very much just like in this season, like, it's going there. If you're dealing with things like this, it's going to be hard. Like, it's not going to be easy, especially if it's fresh. Like, but I think we just want to remind you guys, like, you're loved. Like, you don't have to isolate yourself. There's people around you who love you. Like, and I think I've seen it firsthand, like, of what happens to somebody when they isolate themselves and they sit in their feelings.
For sure.
And I lost my best friend to it. And there are people who love you, and there are people who are willing to sit with you in your pain, but not sit with you in your pain, but walk alongside you in coming out of it.
Yeah, and like especially during this time, just surround yourself with your friends, like in your family, like go out and do some fun things. Like my Cadence and I have been doing so many fun things recently. Like this Christmas season, I feel like for me, like it's just been like a year of God just saying like, I'm just giving you joy. Like, let
Yep.
me like the joy that you felt that was taken away from you, like here it is again.
Yep.
And like we just have like this amazing friend group who just like is so spontaneous, and we just do
That's
whatever.
great.
Like we make gingerbread houses, like we went to the movies, like we're gonna go see Christmas lights. Like it's just so important. Like on those times when the moments when you really want to isolate yourselves, those are the very moments that the enemy's trying to withhold you from something that God's trying to use you for.
Like even like in the season I'm in right now, like I know God is trying to heal me from like a lot of different things with like as far as my grief and losing my best friend. And like I've very much had to give it up and be like, God, grow me, do what you will with this. Like, and like the other day, it was my best friend's birthday, and I very easily could have sat in my room all day and not talked to anybody, but instead I chose to surround myself with my closest people, like, and the people that encourage me and the people who know what I'm going through. Like, and we went out, we went like watched a movie, we went and ate, and it was just truly a day of like, instead of feeling sad, it was like replacing that sadness with joy in God's love.
Yeah.
And that's truly just when you're dealing with stuff like that, it's leaning on the people that are going to be there for you and really just surrounding yourself with those people.
Yeah. Well, I think we got it.
I think we did that.
Well, we hope you have an amazing Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, go out and have some hot chocolate.
Go Christmas caroling.
Yeah. Yeah. Go Christmas caroling.
Yes.
I love Christmas caroling. We used to do that when I was a kid. Then we stopped.
I didn't.
It's fun to do it. But if our DMs and our comments are always open. And we'd love to hear back from you guys. Yeah. Like, seriously.
Like, actually.
Yeah. And I know we have some friends watching this. Juju.
Yeah. I know you're listening to it in the gym. Shout out Juju.
Love you, Juju.
Amen.
But for real, we just wanted to share some encouragement, and we'll be back probably in, I would assume, the new year.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2026. It's going to be our year. Wait.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
I can't do that. I don't got those fingers.
26. My mail came.
Anyways, sorry.
Alrighty. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We see you later.
Alligator.
Oh!
Yeah. Knock.
We ain't celebrating.
Not real.
Fake. Nativity. A package. Oh.
He said your trip is that baby's daddy.
We haven't done it. Like.
Ain't got. She just dabbed.